All right. Y'all already know. Welcome back, hot dogs and donuts. It's 8 a.m. on a Saturday, so you already know. We ready to go do our super thing. Watch some Super Dragon Ball content. It ain't really super Dragon Ball content, but it is Super Saturdays. Yeah, so y'all already know. I ain't gonna hold y'all up too long. Just a little bit. Get it in frame. Should be able to hear me today. Shouts out to the people that didn't like last week's video because you couldn't hear anything. I mean, stuff happens, and once I got it fixed, I was halfway through my other video. Yeah, not this video, my other video. It was over on TWP where we got it figured out. But hell, I almost got kicked out of the video and the live stream getting it done. So you know how it is. I ain't want to risk not having the video be video and when the video was on video, right? Right. Anyways, let's get to it. If you're on YouTube, go to the Rumble. If you're on Rumble, go to the YouTube to catch them when they're recorded live versus when they get posted on Rumble. Because it's a little bit faster if you want to see what I'm actually up to when I'm recording.
Dragon Ball Super doesn't just add more power on top of power in the same sense that Dragon Ball Z often did. It has been quietly changing the framework of how power works. It's been diversifying the different types of power. Dragon Ball Daima has also indirectly contributed to this. Power and winning a fight works in Dragon Ball is now more complex than ever, and for the better. And with Dragon Ball Super finally now officially returning with Dragon Ball Super Beerus and the Galactic Control Moro arc, this matters more than ever. Because how we interpret power going forward depends on whether we're still using the old model or a more updated one, taking into account all of the new information. A lot of conversations around Dragon Ball Super are still built on older interpretations. One that was very relevant for Dragon Ball Z, but it doesn't fully apply anymore. If you've been following my channel, you all know this, but if you're new, that's why so many outcomes, characters and abilities feel inconsistent to people still using those old power scaling methods. That doesn't mean power levels doesn't matter, but what I try to do on this channel is kind of strip things back to the underlying structure. Instead of surface level takes, I focus on the framework Super is actually using, with deep dives into the meta-analysis of the Dragon Ball story, as well as the diegetic level of storytelling. If that kind of breakdown is useful to you and you're interested, that's basically what this channel is built around. So this is a deep dive lore video. What I'm going to do is break down this into 3 parts. The original key model that we were used to in the original Dragon Ball story and Dragon Ball Z, what Super and even Daima has added to the power model, and how that changes the way power should be interpreted going forward, especially from the Moro arc going forward. So if you've only seen the Dragon Ball Super anime, this video will be very useful for you because we'll delve into certain aspects of the manga that continue beyond that. So guys, it's important to look at how Ki was initially established in the Dragon Ball verse. Dragon Ball never treats power really as a single stat. Ki is directly tied to physical attributes like strength, speed, and stamina. Those attributes do not grow at the same rate. This is heavily implied in the Dragon Ball Super Exciting guides, where you see multiple pages of Goku's individual stats growing at different rates despite his power increases throughout the years from original Dragon Ball to the Buu saga. So that's a large misconception amongst the Dragon Ball fan base, is that, say, strength or speed grow linearly in accordance to the increase of power level. They don't, at least according to the Super Exciting guides, which we know Toriyama supervised. Training can enhance one without proportionally enhancing the other statistics. This becomes clear and was emphasized during Karin Tower training in the original Dragon Ball story. The Super Exciting guides expands on this By really demonstrating that power, speed, stamina, and ki are shown as separate variables, that means overall effectiveness isn't about having more energy, it's about how that energy is distributed and used and refined during training. So whilst Roshi helped Goku and Krillin develop their physical prowess, Korin really helped them distribute their energy into certain aspects of it. But by the time they get to Mr. Popo's training, on the lookout, Dragon Ball starts to establish that ki is affected by mental states. So calm focus improves efficiency, whilst overthinking disrupts output. And you could say that has a direct line to what we eventually see in Dragon Ball Super. We won't get to that yet though. You can increase effectiveness without increasing total energy. Like I said, this is brilliant foreshadowing. Ultimately, smash a like on the video if you think the original Dragon Ball was an exceptional vehicle to establish these key components of how power is developed. But by Dragon Ball Z, ki becomes measurable, suppressible, and even readable, not just by characters, but also, scanners. Characters can raise, lower, mask, and focus ki depending on intent, and intent is really important in Dragon Ball Z. But thanks to the Toriyama interview in the Super Exciting Guide, we know that Dragon Ball doesn't treat ki as a single, uniform energy. In the Super Exciting Guide, Toriyama explains that what we call ki is actually made up of different interacting elements. Maybe they can operate alone, we'll get to that in just a moment. But the first is Genki, the one that you're probably all most familiar with thanks to the Genki Dharma, the spirit bomb. Genki translates into life force, life energy. It's the raw energy produced by living beings. The second one mentioned is Yuki, translating into like fighting spirit or courage. This determines how much of energy that fighter can actually draw out and express in battle. So the likes of Goku, Vegeta, and Saiyans in particular, especially full-blooded Saiyans, typically do well with Yuki. And the third is Shoki. This is right-mindedness, mental discipline. This governs control, efficiency, and refinement of ki.
Appreciate that one thumbs up.
In particular, someone who struggles with Shoki. Now, it's implied there's more, including evil ki, which we'll get into in just a moment. But just back to Genki and whether this interacts with these other two keys or works singularly is often up for debate. We do know though that Genki can be abstracted from people singularly without the others, simply due to the fact there is the Genki Dharma, and even the androids can lend Genki to Goku's spirit bomb, as we saw in the Buu Saga, even though they don't have the same ki system as either Earthlings or Saiyans. There is also evil ki, which has been noted, where opponents that have bad intent with what they're intending to do, and it can be sensed. The likes of Piccolo, Goku can sense this. So there is that, but it's never really delved into. But ultimately, there's lots of different elements and components to this ki framework. And this is why beyond Namek, they kind of drop the power scouters and the power level readings, because just simply a power level on face value isn't enough. You need the mental state to control that energy, the fighting spirit to bring it out. That's why two fighters with similar physical strength can perform completely differently. Obviously, this physical performance is enhanced by ki. Toriyama does say that once you reach your physical limits, you basically just need more and more ki to keep improving it. But it is really important to state, the more ki you have, the likelier you are to win a battle. But it's not just about quantity, it's also about quality, intent, and mental alignment. However, this is how Dragon Ball Z typically operated. Dragon Ball Super, however, doesn't invent a new ki. It finds a way to systemize it with the likes of God Ki and Ultra Divine Ki. And then you also have other power sources, such as magic from the Demon Realm, even though you could say we've seen magic in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z before, especially with the Namekians, given that we know they're now demons, and then of course Majin Buu and Babidi, as well as Deborah. Dragon Ball Super doesn't increase the ceiling of ki, it changes the structure of how power is basically expressed. A lot of people assume that God Ki has been useless since the fact, the likes of Gohan Beast, Broly, Jiren, and even Moro have all managed to surpass levels of God Ki. That's not necessarily the case and is not how it should be interpreted. We'll get into that shortly. Obviously, the biggest addition in Super is God Ki, and then it gets expressed in a different way later down the line with the Ultra forms. God Ki isn't just stronger Ki. What it is compressed, contained, and invisible to normal sensing. Mortals leap outwards with their ki, God Ki stays sealed inside the body, and that tells us quite a lot. Now, there isn't a single guide that breaks down God Ki like the Daizenshu and the Super Exciting guides did for the original Dragon Ball. Instead, Super defines this through how we see characters behave with God Ki in the anime, in the manga, and how certain forms are depicted, as well as one paragraph in the Dragon Ball Super movie pamphlet. And what the best translations of this imply is that God Ki is a special form of Ki possessed by gods. Basically, any kind of god possesses this Ki, and I don't think we should get it confused with God power that we see the Dai Kaioshin use in the Moro arc. We'll get back to that. But ultimately, unlike ordinary Ki, it doesn't leak outside the body, which is why those without God Ki cannot sense it, because it is perfectly contained, its efficiency is extremely high. So I think what this tells us is that God Ki is regular Ki condensed to the confines of the body, and this correlates with other things we've seen about Ki in Dragon Ball, where it actually causes an amplification effect. Just think the Kamehameha, just think the Gallic gun, just think the special beam cannon. When you condense energy into an area of effect and you keep building on that energy and condensing it and building it up, it amplifies the amount of power you have. That's why those particular attacks are higher than even the user's actual raw power level. As we've talked about many times on this channel, Goku and Piccolo's fight against Raditz is the best example of this. Goku with a Kamehameha nearly doubles his power, Piccolo nearly triples his power just by using a technique where they condense their energy into a small area of effect, and Raditz is caught completely off guard. Are they just doing this with all of their Ki and confining it into the spatial confines of their body? What you could say is this is just a transformational process of turning regular Ki into godly Ki. Now, God power, is it the same? Well, God power from the Dai Kaioshin seems to be used with magical purposes that we saw against Moro, but we did see it power Ultra Instinct Goku against Planet Moro, and it allowed him to go back into Ultra Instinct, so it is very potent. But you would have thought the fact that Dai Kaioshin couldn't beat Moro or even Prime Moro, who was far weaker than Planet Moro was implied to be, then it isn't used for combat purposes, it has a different purpose. So do consider God power, but it isn't necessarily for combat purposes like God Ki is implied to be. Goku and Vegeta use their God Ki to fight, essentially. But the condensing effect that leads to amplification, is it just that they're amplifying their Ki output? If, say, Gohan did it with Gohan Beast and learned how to condense his Ki calmly into the confines of his body, would it amplify his Ki? You could argue that they can't particularly do that with Beast forms or Broly with his Super Saiyan form. But then Goku and Vegeta have obviously unlocked Super Saiyan Blue, which is Super Saiyan God, which could say is the base form of God Ki, especially in the manga, which doesn't really imply that Saiyan Beyond God's a thing. And then turning Super Saiyan, causing Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan. If you watch the Broly movie as well as the anime, you'll often see when they go from a normal Ki state, such as their base form or Super Saiyan form, and then into God, especially the Broly movie, you'll see them draw all the Ki into the confines of their body. So even though Super never gives us a direct wording or rulebook for God Ki, there are certain aspects within the series that tells us this is how it works. And then you could look at complete Super Saiyan Blue in the manga, where Goku literally draws all the Ki within the confines of his body and is able to use Super Saiyan Blue to its maximum capacity against Merge Zamasu. By simply achieving this confinement of Ki to his body, he goes from getting one-shotted by Merge Zamasu to be able to compete with him. But guys, this is where a lot of people start to get power scaling wrong in Dragon Ball Super. People say that the power scaling system's broken. It isn't at all. Super just simply shifted the emphasis from how much energy you have to precisely how you can use it. Power levels do still matter, but also the control over that power has now taken a lot of precedence, and it started to introduce techniques, abilities, hacks, especially with magic becoming prominent in Dragon Ball Daima and the Moro arc. The way these powers are used often has a big effect on the fight. Just simply having the bigger penis doesn't work anymore. That's why training under Whis focuses on posture, balance, timing and mental calmness, not raw exertion. God Ki rewards control not aggression. Now, I believe Super has actually also introduced a higher level of God Ki. So not can you only transform from the regular state of regular Ki to God Ki. I believe what we have now is Ultra Divine Ki, and I think that's proven in the Granola arc when Goku senses Vegeta turning into Ultra Ego. Obviously, we've seen this type of Ki before with Ultra Instinct, but it's never really given a label. Goku simply states that's not your regular type of God Ki. So we have Ultra Instinct to start off with. Ultra Instinct isn't a transformation in a traditional sense. You could say it's the ultimate expression of Shoki, right-mindedness. The body moves without conscious thought. As I've often called it, it's a package transformation, really, that comes with an amazing fighting martial arts technique. You get speed hacks, dodge hacks, critical hit hacks, you exploit openings. You could literally call it an energy flow state. Energy is not forced out, it just flows. Ultra Instinct increases effectiveness without increasing raw Ki, and does it to high levels of efficiency. That's why even when the power level gap is close, Goku completely overwhelms his opponent because he gets additional speed, and his movement has basically surpassed the gods of destruction, who have been training for millions of years in some cases. Of course, the manga approaches Ultra Instinct the right way, in my humble opinion, by having Goku unleash Ultra Instinct for the first time when Roshi tells him to think about all the lessons he's learned from not just himself, but from Korin, Mr. Popo, Kami, King Kai, Whis, and more, really. And Goku eventually unleashes mastery of self-movement. But then, of course, we also got Ultra Ego, but this represents the opposite expression, really. Instead of suppression and calm, it draws power from intent, resolve, and battle drive. This aligns more closely with Yuki.
What up, Tanya? Good to see you. How you doing?
Terms that Toriyama
appreciate you coming by and saying hi.
That super exciting guide in 2009 have really come to fruition when you think about it, and express themselves as abilities and transformations. Ultra Ego grows stronger through engagement, pressure, and damage. Basically, as Beerus stated in the Granola arc, this power comes from delving deeper into destruction, whereas Ultra Instinct gets more powerful when it delves deeper into tranquility. Ultra Ego is not reckless, it's intentional escalation. This is where it differs from, say, Broly's raging out forms, and even Gohan's beast form for that matter. So Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego, these two Ultra Divine Ki techniques transformations, are two valid endpoints of the same system. That is, they both rely on God Ki as the underlying energy state, and that relies on an exceeding level of control of your own Ki, and you cannot get to that level of control without mastering God Ki in the first place. So guys, when you hear somebody say that God Ki is useless and was pointless, they're completely wrong. It was essentially Goku and Vegeta's method of attaining a level of power that could allow them to compete with beings that simply had more raw potential than them. The likes of Broly, who was the legendary Super Saiyan, or Gohan, who is a half-breed powerhouse, or even Frieza. Now, obviously, if those characters learned how to use God Ki, and you could argue maybe Black Frieza does, for example, we just don't know
Shout
yet.
out to our video sponsor, Mountain Dew.
God Ki, they'd be a lot stronger than Goku and Vegeta, but do they have the control of
they
their Yuki,
their
their Shoki, or the drive to be able to achieve that in the first place? That's what makes Goku and Vegeta so special in this story, and why they'll continue to be the driving force, the catalyst behind the progression of power in this story. But ultimately, and this is how I'll finish this video, is every time you see Goku and Vegeta, especially in this series, get stronger, it's not necessarily because they've increased their raw sheer banks of power. They are using God Ki and techniques to amplify that power. You do get potential freaks like Gohan who do still operate with regular Ki, and with his beast form, he has now found a technique of his own where he just allows himself to get angry and control it in moments that allows his raw potential, which is far higher than Goku and Vegeta's, as they've even admitted, to be able to actually use that full potential. But he doesn't have the level of control that Goku and Vegeta has. So this is why regular Ki can compete with God Ki, but it isn't actually better. It's not better at all. So Super doesn't replace Dragon Ball's original framework, it builds upon it and formalizes it. Different energy systems, different expressions, different paths to power, and then of course you've got magic that's really introduced in Daima, and maybe even Super Saiyan 4 has a little element of magic to be involved with it. Obviously you've got the primal forms such as Super Saiyan 4 and Uzaru, but I think based on information we currently have, their power source is still just regular ki until we're told otherwise. Anyway, guys, that's all for today. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Smash a like on this video if you want more videos like this that really do a deep dive into the lore of Dragon Ball, that gives you guidebook sources straight from the source itself. Until next time, Ad Astra.
Aren't you the busy woman?
Come check it out. It's a flux wave generator.
Flux wave generator. What's it for?
It's for you, silly. To help you transform to Super Saiyan 4.
What? Are you serious? This device can help me become a Super Saiyan 4?
After that, you might even reach Super Saiyan 5.
Super Saiyan 5? Are you serious? You really believe that I can surpass Kakarot?
You are the Prince of all Saiyans, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
When Bulma actually starts using that high-ass IQ, right? It's like, Bulma, you're literally a genius. You're running around with Goku, dumbass, make you act dumb.
Gaming channel. How fortunate for you. I, Lord Frieza, will spare your life as long as you subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, don't forget to become a member of Unrelent Gaming's Patreon for tons of exclusive content to early access media and much more. Do it now, or else.
Now, while I hope for our cosmic allies to prevail against these menacing dark entities who've aligned themselves with an unimaginable force of darkness, I don't expect for the outcome of this ferocious battle to end with any lasting moments of happiness if they don't hurry and find a way to emerge victorious over these dementors, and quickly.
As our story now continues, following the initial conflict involving the evil Omni Guard alongside the Dementors having to face off against Zalama and the Grand Priest Cosmic Knights, which was only above the planet's surface now, with the evil Omni Guard having to be shown confronting and addressing Nebulous, the leader of the Cosmic Knights, directly, was when the evil Omni Guard went on to then respond. Tell me something then, because my curiosity cannot go and be helped but to know one thing, and that is how confident are you truly in your ability to go and survive me, the evil Omni Guard questions. For your eyes widen not because you are determined, but because you are afraid. Afraid of what awaits you because deep down you know that no matter how hard you will go and try to do your best to defy Lord Omnis's rule, you will never go on to muster the necessary strength to do what is required to go and stop us, as you wouldn't go and be the first, as I'm more than certain by now that you also won't go and be the last, the evil Omni Guard continues. And so they may go ahead and send out as many of you as they wish, because the end result of your efforts will only be remembered through the echoes of the void, Cosmic Defender, with Nebulous responding, traitorous disgrace. And how are you so sure that this mission of yours that you are willing to go and carry out for this will isn't going to end in your defeat? Because with my fellow knights having to match your Dementors in almost every aspect of strength and speed, how are you to know that our battle won't be the same? Nebulous questions. And what exactly do you mean by what it was that you had mentioned in not being the first to go and try? What is the meaning behind these words? Nebulous continues. And what exactly are you trying to go and imply by insisting of this very notion, Omni Guard? With the evil Omni Guard responding, "Do your eyes deceive you, Cosmic Knight of the highest order? For you should already know as to what it is that me and my kind are capable of. But what about Lord Omnis? Because while you fail to see the true message which is buried within my words exchanged here to you, when I said that you wouldn't go and be the first, I meant that literally," the evil guard continues, "because not long before your sudden and unexpected arrival within this timeline, there had been those who had also attempted to go and try to oppose Lord Omnis's rule, who were on a far greater threat level than you and your knights could ever even go and imagine for yourselves to be. And well, of course, let's just say that not even the great Zeno himself is prepared for the horrors that Lord Omnis has that is waiting for them. And if our dementors were to go and continue to fight your knights to a draw, then it won't be long after I go and deal with you that I will then go on to carry in dealing with the two of them," with Nebulous responding, "So this ominous creature has dealt with Lord Zeno once before, as if I would ever go and allow to stand to have you and your demented legion destroy the sanctity of what holds the Omniverse together, because no matter how vile your alliance with this Omnis is," Nebulous adds, "I will not falter and I will not yield, for we are to go and protect the Omniverse at all costs, even if this means in having to go and give our lives up to go ahead and see this mission through," with the evil Omniguard responding, "You will try, but just know that you and your knights will fail. Fail not because of your efforts in trying to go and stop us, but fail because you simply do not possess the necessary strength to actually go and truly oppose us. But yes, for you are right to go and assume that Lord Omnis had dealt with that wretched Zeno several times before, and just like them, along with your masters and governing council who seek to destroy what Lord Omnis is accomplishing, you will be disappointed to know that your mission of carrying this out stops here with me, Royal Knight. And so now let us go and engage and find out on which one of us will truly be the last one standing here when this is all over. To which it was only just within these very moments now, back down on the planet below, with the red-hooded Dementor being shown having to battle against Kyrax, one of the two remaining Cosmic Knights that were shown in having to battle against the Dementors on the planet below, was when the Dementor was shown in having to drag Kyrax throughout the city by then responding, "Wretched Knight of the Gods, for you will come to learn that challenging me and my brother will not come as easy to the both of you as one may assume. But while these royal warriors appear to be just as durable as me and my brother both are, I must go and continue to go and find a way to..." But of course, the red-hooded Dementor suddenly paused by then looking out and noticing one of the Cosmic Knight's staff having to be lodged down onto the ground below. The staff of the very knight who had attempted to impale the Omni Guard still remains useful in our cause in smiting these vermin down, and because this weapon could be made of better use to us than it would to them, this was exactly what is needed to go and ensure our victory over these wretched knights. And since their disease is deserving to go and be treated with absolute malice, for it is our greatest chance in having to go and finish these worms off once and for all here and now, as we cannot go and risk in having to go and lose against these knights, as I must go and act upon this very notion by using this right now while there is still a bit of time that remains for this instrument to be used, since we are seemingly evenly matched against those knights for the time being, and so as long as one of them is left unattended without the aid of having the other go and save them, then I will go and use this moment along with their very own weapon to strengthen our odds against these Cosmic Warriors before they are to go and do the same in their odds, which I cannot allow to stand to go and happen, so as long as we are engaged in this battle until its very end, the red-hooded Dementor continues. And since I now have this vermin locked within my line of sight while holding off against Black Hood, the red-hooded Dementor went on to then continue upon suddenly being shown stabbing Battaron from behind and having to go as far as to use Kyrax's staff to go and do it. You and your fellow knights should have went and have thought twice before going and deciding to look after us within this realm, and since you did, you might have been able to go and be capable in matching our strength, the Dementor went on to then continue upon leaping up in the sky and watching Battaron be overtaken. But even then, you will never be cunning enough in having to go and match our prowess, you cosmic scum. To which seconds later, within this very moment now, as a gigantic explosion was seen having to emanate from the distance of the city, as Kyrax had watched as Battaron was utterly destroyed by the hands of the Dementors, was when the Dementors went on to then continue, and with only one of them now having to remain with his ally now out of our way and preventing us from syncing up our fighting patterns, all that's left for us to go and do now is go and apply the same pressure as we just did with the last of these knights who still remain with us here on this planet below, with the Black Hooded Dementor having to then respond, yes, very good work on eliminating the cosmic vermin, because now with only one left remaining, we are to now go and ensure that he is to be obliterated without further inconveniences to Lord Omnis's pursuit of the Infinity Orb, as we are to go and shred the knight by using every tactical advantage that is made available within our arsenal to do it, with the Red-Hooded Dementor responding, his energy is swelling, which means that he is now preparing to go and attack, and so now let us go and reserve our acidic techniques for when we truly go and need them, but do not go and take your eyes off of him until we are to ensure that he is utterly destroyed. But then, it was from this very moment now from back down below, with the Cosmic Knight Kyrax being shown having to now make his way towards both Dementors and having to go as far as to attack them both at the same time, was when Kyrax went on to then quickly shout, for what it was that you were shown and having to go and do onto Battleron, I will enact upon you 10 times over, no matter how long I will need to take to go and see that you are both destroyed, Kyrax shouts. So even if I am to go and be left and having to face you both here alone, despite it having our powers clash to a draw as it is, as I will go and do so by using every and all measures available to me to go and destroy you both for what you have done to Battleron. Is that so, Royal Warrior? The Dementors went on to then continue. Very bold of you to go and assert, but there is just one problem here, you see. And then just how exactly do you think that you are going to go and make it out of this battle here against us with a different result than the one that you had seen take place with your ally, if you are only simply as strong as one of us, whilst having to go and engage against both of us with no allies to save you, Cosmic Knights? For if you was ever to go and doubt our ability to see this battle through against you, with the victory of this conflict and having to go and fall under our names instead of yours, the Dementors continue upon now being shown having to attack Kyrax 2-on-1 at the same time, then watch as we go and set the example here against you, because while you may be strong enough to go and fight against one of us to a draw throughout the course of our conflict here, fighting against both of us at once is merely asking for a death wish, the Dementors continue, and because we are far more in sync with our movements and our techniques when compared to you and your cosmic alliance with your fallen ally whose ashes echo within the wind, the Red-Hooded Dementor continues upon suddenly seeing Kyrax's entire left arm get blown off his body. For let this go and be further proof behind our resolve in doing what Lord Omnis wills for us to do, no matter the odds or circumstances that are stacked here against us, even if that means it having to go through both you and your kind in order for us to go and reach it. And now that we are to go and have you exactly where we want for you to be, as your final moments draw closer and closer, as you begin to finally realize that your fate will be no different than your allies was, in watching as we are to go and do unto you just as it was that we had done unto him just minutes ago. And so now prepare to experience a level of brutality the likes of which you and your knights have never seen or had gone through before, the Black-Hooded Dementor continues. And so now remember this day, for the knights who serve under the very gods to which we have vowed to stand against will forever be forgotten within the voids of your own personal failure. To which it was suddenly within these very moments now, with the Red-Hooded Dementor being shown and now having to completely obliterate the Cosmic Knight known as Kyrax and having to get rid of both knights as a whole, was when the Black-Hooded Dementor went on to then respond, manageable thinking on going and using the Knight's Staff as a weapon here against them, because it had went and bought us just enough time that we had needed in order to go and see this battle out until its very end, Red Hood, with the Red-Hooded Dementor having to respond, well, as close as this was, we cannot go and allow for us to waver like this in a battle against such creatures, lest we warrant in having Omnis destroy us for failing to go and carry out our duties in purging the Omniverse of the vermin such as these, Black Hood. But with these two now finally out of our way and out of our way for good, there is but another that I had sent presence that appears to be far stronger than the ones that we had just battled down here, which also looks to be making his way back down below onto the planet here with us, for I can only go as far as to assume that he has already been dealt with by the Omni Guard above the planet's atmosphere, and since he is the last of the Cosmic Knights to still be shown in having to stand, what I imagine is about to go and take place will go and lead to his glorious destruction in a matter of moments, with the Black Hooded Dementor having to then respond, yes, and with the strongest of these vermin having to now be dealt with accordingly after finding him and having to face off against Lord Omnis's Omni Guard while dealing with his cosmic allies below, we are to go and ensure his destruction just as we did with the others before he is to go and be given time to try and make a move here against us, the Black Hooded Dementor says, to which it was only within this very moment now back down below with the leader of the Cosmic Knights having to be shown broken and beaten down onto the ground following his initial battle against the Omni Guard was when Nebulous went on to then quickly respond,
I couldn't match him, for the power of the Omni Guard is just too much for one Cosmic Knight to go and deal with all by themselves like this, and while I can't seem to go and be able to move my body, I must hurry so that I am able to go and transmit the data that we have gathered when arriving into this multiverse so that both the Grand Minister along with Lord Zalama can be made well aware of the dangers that is coming along their way within the voids of the Omniverse, and so I must try.
and here you went and assumed that you and your fellow knights would go as far as to defy Lord Omnis's will, only to be crushed by our overwhelming might simply goes as far as to show that no matter who you are and no matter where you come from, along with how many of you they end up in having to send, the end result of your mission to try and destroy us will ultimately all end the same, just as it is right now as you lie beneath
Them
our
boys got that
heel,
work put
broken and
in on them.
defeated while awaiting your death
Says the
sentence.
Cosmic Fodder.
With Nebulous
Knights.
No, for you are wrong, because not only will the Grand Minister and Lord Zalama soon go on to learn of the atrocity that had taken place within this realm, and once they do, then the reckoning that you will all have coming will be far greater than the one in which you are planning on bringing down upon me, Nebulous continues, because even if we are to fall, then there are going to be others who will rise to go and stand against you until the bitter end, for it will only be a matter of time before our deaths will be avenged, and before the light of justice pierces through the darkness that you have unleashed upon the Omniverse, because although you may have been victorious for the time being here against us, Nebulous continues, the war that will go on to follow and be waged here against your cause will be far greater and far more difficult than you can ever hope for it to be, because in the end, when this is all over and the dust settles, you will lose, and you will lose greatly. But then, it was just within these very moments now from out of nowhere, with both Dementors being shown and having to lift Nebulous up, with the portal being shown and having to open, was when the evil Omni King Omnis went on to emerge by then having to respond, and I find your omniversal pursuit and doing what you and your knights had been sent here and instructed to go and carry out to be quite the annoying surprise when considering on how you were able to go and track me and my hunters down the way you were. But behold before your very eyes, so-called leader of the Cosmic Knights, the truth behind the horrors that you and your fellow mercenaries had been sent out to go and inspect. For I am beyond your scope of understanding and the pinnacle of absolute power, the likes of which you could never come close to imagine, and now that I am here, Omnis emerges by continuing, what you are about to go and experience will echo back to your very precious overseers, for let this moment go and serve as a message to any and all those who wish to oppose me, that no matter where they dwell and no matter where they wait, for their fates will all be the same, because whether they are aware of my existence within the voids of the Omniverse or not, all will come to know the name King Omnis before their judgment comes to pass, and because you and your kind have been quite the nuisance, Omnis continues, let this moment go and serve as being the last thing that you will ever come to see with your very own eyes. For there is no greater power that goes far beyond than the one who stands before you, because just like yourself, who will now go on to disappear
figure within the annals of history forever, Omnis continues, so too will your masters end up in having to suffer the same fate as the one that you are about to suffer right at this moment. And so now let this message be in what will happen to all those who stand to go and challenge me, for you are to go and burn for your rebellion against my vision, never to return into this or any other world ever again. And so now die along with your fellow knights as you fade into the void, Omnis shouts. To which it was only then within these very moments now, with Omnis being shown having to completely erase Nebulates from the annals of history as Omnis went on to oversee his destruction, was when Omnis then went on to quickly continue, and as if sending these cosmic knights to go and try to stop me was ever truly going to work, has only now brought them all into meeting their inevitable demise. And while I even now relish at the sound of their suffering upon their erasure, Omnis continues, and I can't help but begin to wonder now on which of these timelines these knights happen to have came from, because thus far, with my presence having to remain undetected in mostly every corner of the Omniverse that I've traveled through, there appears to be a multiversal system of sorts that seems to be aware of my existence. How very interesting. And since that is the case, Omnis continues, I do look forward towards discovering on which of these very realms these knights happen to have actually came from, because once I do, then perhaps I just might go and have a little fun with them, being that they have already discovered and caught wind of my presence within the Omniverse, while shredding the rest that remains and leaving their realms as one of the very few for me to go and enjoy and devouring personally. Which, speaking of, were you able to go and acquire the relic that I have been searching for? Omnis questions, with the evil Omniguards being shown teleporting behind them and responding, our mission in finding the artifact to which you seek has been officially accomplished by a way of extraction, O Great One, for we have alas located the relic and wielded it within our possession as the infinity crystal you had been seeking and allowing for us to go and move throughout the Omniverse with no restrictions is finally now within your control, Venerable Omnis. And now that we have went and found exactly what you had been looking for, the evil Omniguards continue, let us now go and make our way back to the palace at once so that we may go and continue with our mission in bringing about absolute darkness throughout the annals of existence within the Omniverse, as it was only right then and there now, during that moment, where the Beyond Dragon Ball Super Legacy of the Omniverse, the official top 5 strongest warriors in the multiverse sequel, manga chapter number 23 special, then comes to a close.
Well, actually, I'll go ahead and take it from here, as I do want to go as far as to address something very important with our dear viewers at the moment. As before I go and give you the following information, if you aren't already a member of Unreal's Patreon community, then you are truly missing out on so much without you even knowing, because not only is the next episode already on the page, but if you want to support all of the manga content that you see and gain access to tons of exclusives along the way that range from a variety of different things, then we do encourage for you all to become members of our Patreon community today, for we will link everything down within the description box below and pinned comment section as well. Now I will go as far as to say that although with the situation having to involve the Cosmic Knights having taken a turn for the worst, I can't help but continue to feel a sense of dread that is waiting for us somewhere deep within the voids of the Omniverse out there. But while I would imagine that with Omnis having to now finally lay claim over the very relic that he'd been searching for this entire time, we mustn't allow for things to continue to go unchecked like this. And so because of that, you do not want to go and miss out on what is about to happen coming up next. So we hope that you all enjoyed today's video, and before you leave, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up by smashing that like button on your way out, as well as also subscribing to Unreal Gaming's channel for tons of new Dragon Ball content. So with that, we thank you all so much for watching, as we'll be seeing you all again for the next one.
Now, I know it might be weird, maybe even a little bit sus, but just trust me, okay? Just shove it in your mouth, Catman.
Say what now? I will do no such thing, Talking Bug Man, but what I will do is encourage you all to subscribe to Unrelent Gaming for the latest Dragon Ball content. And while you're at it, make sure to like the video. Also, don't forget to become a member of Unrelent Gaming's Patreon community for more exclusive content, early access, and much, much more. Do it now, or I'll destroy your planet, along with every taco.
Hey, don't just waste the goddamn thing. Pass it here.
Did you know the highest multiplier in the history of Dragon Ball for Kaioken as far as numbers go was in Dragon Ball Z movie 4, which is the Lord Slug movie. In that movie, Goku uses Kaioken times 100. That's right, Goku tapped into the power of a Benjamin to do Kaioken times 100. In the future, he would use stuff like the Super Kaioken and, of course, Kaioken Blue, but this is the only time he ever went that high when it came to numbers. For more facts like this, check out the Kaioken Explained video on the Geekdom 101 channel. Subscribe on YouTube and have a nice day.
Shout out to Geekdom.
So this is him, Chuck Norris, the strongest human on Earth.
He doesn't look like much. I heard that. How? I whispered that in my mind. I heard that too.
Yo, Chuck, are you as strong as they say?
I'll put it this way for you. I'm the only one that can see John Cena. That's impossible.
Well, if you're so strong, how many push-ups can you do?
All of them. What? That's not even a number. Numbers fear me.
Okay, how fast can you run?
I don't run. The earth moves under me. Kakarot. He might actually be stronger than Jiren.
All right, last question. What's your power level?
Yes.
What?
You heard me. He's the real deal.
You're definitely strong. Fight me.
Bring it on. Prepare yourself, human. Kakarot, do not hold back.
Did he just catch one of my punches with his
Butt cheeks. Kakarot, that's peak divine aura. I was using negative percentage of my strength. Negative? How is that even possible? I hit myself during the fight. To give you two a fighting chance.
He did what?
He damaged himself to make it fair. You're welcome.
I've never felt so outclassed.
We didn't land a single punch.
Can we train with you?
No. That's fair.
Hey, yo, Goku and Vegeta pulled up thinking they was tough, but Chuck Norris hit himself just to make the fight even. He's different. Tune in next time on Dragon Ball Z, where the Saiyans learn you don't test a man who can see John Cena. The reason why series creator Akira Toriyama went back to Goku in the Buu saga instead of letting Gohan be the main character is because the fans pressured him into doing it. Wrong. That never happened. And it's been one of the biggest misconceptions and fake rumors that have existed in the fandom for decades. Not only is it untrue, but there are actually popularity polls in Japan that listed Gohan as being the most popular character in the series during that time. The real reason as to why the creator went back to Goku, and he has said this in multiple interviews, is because while he was writing the Majin Buu saga, he realized that for him, Gohan was not fit to be the main character, and Goku was fit. From a writing perspective, he was more comfortable with Goku as his lead character. Therefore,
Dragon Ball Genshin Squadron is back with a new Goku, a new Vegeta, Kid Buu, some new skins, even giving away Vegito and Broly for free, and people are angry. We'll be talking about the latest updates to Genshin Squadron and its latest season, as well as touching on some Dragon Ball Super manga news, some good news, and some bad news, and then we'll also be talking about Masako Nozawa's recent comments. So, in case you missed it, Genshin Squadron revealed a Super Saiyan God Goku as their damage character for Season 4. They revealed Super Saiyan God Vegeta as their tank character. And then they revealed, for some reason, Kid Buu as technical. Kid Buu, the massive force of destruction, ancient primordial evil, is a technical character. That one doesn't make a lot of sense, and people are noticing. So the feedback to this announcement has been mixed to negative from what I've been able to tell. So people are excited that they're getting Super Saiyan God Goku, but they're also a little bit disappointed because it seems like the...
Now, they just showed all of these nice clips of Kid Buu's moveset, which are kind of technical. So, technical player. It's self-explanatory because Buu's got some techniques, motherfucker. Oh shit! I love how he just, nerfed what he said about the whole way he felt about it because it was irrelevant. It's Kid Buu. It makes sense that they define him as a technical. Come on now, yeah, respect the technique.
Variety of characters this season has been a little bit lackluster. It seems like they're following a trend. The previous season had two fusion characters, which was Kefla and Vegito, and now we're getting Super Saiyan God Goku and Super Saiyan God Vegeta. So the lack of variety, especially with more Saiyans every season, is something people are noticing. I think you're also getting some Goku and Vegeta fatigue. Maybe if it was just Super Saiyan God Goku by himself, that way we would have a little bit of a more decent mix, because he could go well with a Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, which they released previously. However, that is not the only thing. It seems like people are very upset. If you look here, Super Saiyan God Goku is damage. Then you look at Super Saiyan God Vegeta, he's tank. That means that they're locking every single version of the character into a role. And that's another thing people are unhappy with, because Super Saiyan God Goku would work a little bit better as a technical character. Super Saiyan God Vegeta, I guess you can make him damage. And then Kid Buu, this is like the perfect character to be a damage character. But for some reason, it seems like that's not the direction they're going with this game, and people are very upset. I mean, we could have seen it with Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta being a tank, as well as the other Super Saiyan Vegeta being a tank. But now it's just hard confirmed, basically at this point. No hard confirmation, but the signs are there. However, like I said, there is some good in all of this. These new emotes look really cool, as you can see here. They look great. Now, another thing are the skins, and we'll get a more decent look at some of these skins in a moment. But geez Louise, man. Look at these skins. So, I don't like whenever they do battle damaged gi for skins. I've never really been a fan of that. I think the skins should be more like what they've done with Broly and Trunks. So Trunks is wearing Tapion's outfit, and Broly is wearing Turles's. Now, I don't think this confirms that we're never going to get Turles and Tapion. Maybe it would be a matter of time if we do get them as playable characters, but I think this is just a nice bone to throw to those fans of Tapion and Turles in the meantime. So if we go to the official website, Dragon Ball Official, you can actually see a better look at the skins. So here's a better look at the full outfit of Super Saiyan Trunks with the Tapion look. I really like it, and it of course makes sense because of the connection between Kid Trunks and Tapion, that he has Tapion's outfit. And then you have Broly with Turles' outfit. Now, this was obviously something we could have expected because they previously did the Fasha outfit. So, and Fasha's not in the game. So that kind of makes sense with them just giving outfits to other characters. But again, I don't think this means that we aren't going to get Turles and Tapion. And then the cinematic trailer, which we kind of did a little preview of, pretty exciting. But yes, people are not very excited about this update. What do you guys think? I mean, there is some good in all of this. They are doing a login bonus event where you're getting Super Saiyan, Legendary Super Saiyan, I should say, Broly, and Super Vegito. So it's not like it's all doom and gloom. Now for the Dragon Ball Super news, we have one bad story and one positive story. So first off, let's start with this AI manga translation news. So this is kind of for the Dragon Ball Super manga, because if they have this tool, they'll probably use it. AI manga translation company Mantra has now partnered with Shueisha, who's in charge of the Dragon Ball Super manga. It translates tens of thousands of manga pages per month using ChatGPT, after which human editors revise the output. Mantra is also involved with Vietnamese One Piece. And the Manixis points out, so once the DBS manga is back, the obvious implication is that they are going to use this AI translation tool for the Dragon Ball Super manga. And I am of two minds about this. On the one hand, I understand where they're coming from with wanting to cut costs, but on the other hand, you're really forcing people out of their job for a product that will definitely be less positive, I guess you could say, it won't be as good as it was before. AI translation, maybe it's better than Google Translate, even though I believe it's probably the same technology. Maybe not, because ChatGPT is a bit more complex than just Google, but still, at the same time, there are some things that ChatGPT and AI will just never be able to replicate, especially when it comes to like tonal shifts and things like that. So I guess that's where the human editors would revise the output at that point. However, you have to remember, with these companies, the point of AI is to basically cut costs and not have to hire people. So if you still have human editors, you're basically still paying those translators. Maybe you're not paying them as much because they'll just be editing what's already been translated, but they're still translating at the end of the day because they're checking for accuracy. So what's the point? That's why I believe this is more of a transitionary period. These human editors revising the output aren't going to be here forever. I believe they're just going to be here to transition into the full age of AI translation for manga. What that means, I believe, is that whenever they're able to get 100% accuracy to whatever they're trying to get, or maybe even not 100% accuracy, they'll just say, goodbye, human editors, revising the output, and then the quality will go down the toilet. So as of now, they've made no formal announcement, and maybe this is something where they would never make a formal announcement. Maybe it's something that they would just do quietly and on the down low, hoping nobody would notice, thinking nobody would notice. But I think it will definitely be noticeable if this is something they do. We do have V-Jump next week, so maybe they'll make some sort of Dragon Ball Super announcement. Some people are doubting it. I definitely think it comes when it comes. Maybe it's not going to be next week. Maybe it could be a year from now, 2 years from now. Who knows when the Dragon Ball Super manga is back? And like I said, I don't imagine they'll make an announcement of AI translation there. But if this news does come out and it becomes more official, I will definitely keep you guys posted. But for now, this seems like if this plays out to what I imagine, this could actually be very, very bad for manga in general, but Dragon Ball Super especially because, you know, Dragon Ball is what I'm a fan of more than anything. Because if you have characters and they're speaking dialogue that makes no sense, or it's mismatching their characters' expressions, things like that, that would just be more of a problem with fan interpretation, and people would not be able to enjoy the series, etc. So you see where I'm going with that. You get it. But there is some good news. This is coming from DBS Philosopher, who I've covered previously. I think they definitely deserve more likes and more credit because they post a lot of news like this. Dragon Ball Super Volume 24 sold 10,821 copies in its first week of US release, ranking only behind Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, for debut weeks this year, 2026. And then he says, great start despite no anime currently airing, which is definitely true. I got my copy. Did you get yours? So 10,000 copies in its first week of US release behind Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man is pretty good. Like he says, considering there's no anime currently airing. I think if there was the anime airing and Dragon Ball Super was in full swing hype mode and we had new chapters releasing, we had the anime, we had all these video games that are going, they would still be going. I think the sales would be even higher, honestly. But, you know, Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man are two very big properties. I've seen Chainsaw Man. I have not seen Jujutsu Kaisen. So sorry if I'm butchering the name. But, all that said, this is good news for Super. This means that they are aware there is a obviously desire to see this. These strong sales should indicate to them that they need to bring this back soon. Again, who knows when? It is officially on hiatus, which means they probably won't have like a big event to reveal it at. Maybe they would reveal it at a big event, but it also means that because it's on hiatus, they could just announce in the pages of V-Jump, Dragon Ball Super returns from hiatus next month, or the month after that. They don't need to necessarily have a huge event for it. They could just announce it's coming off of hiatus and everybody would be fine. So, what do you guys think about the Dragon Ball Super news? Do you think the AI translation will destroy manga in general? Do you think it's actually going to be utilized to the extent that I'm assuming it will be? And honestly, I don't even think it's an assumption because this is how companies work. Like I said, the human editors are basically translators themselves. They're going to want to cut costs entirely and rely on AI eventually. So it's just a matter of time, in my opinion. But that's not all we have to talk about today. The week was a little light on news, and then I saw Masako Nozawa make a statement, and I thought, wow, that would be great to include in the weekly Dragon Ball news because she's just a special kind of person. So she did have a video message for the Reiwa 7th year star handprint commendation ceremony. Again, I'm not a native Japanese speaker, so I think that's Reiwa. Might be Raiwa. So, according to DBS Hype, earlier today, Masako Nozawa participated in this ceremony. The video message, her comment is, I am deeply honored that my handprint will be added to the collection of star handprints displayed at Asakusa Public Hall. Thank you so much. Ideally, I should visit in person to offer my greetings, but I have an unavoidable task to attend to in order to save the planet. I am currently on my way there today. I would appreciate for all of your understanding. My only redeeming quality is my energy. I will continue to deliver my voice with all my might, so I hope you will continue to support me. And if you were tuning in to Genki Damatsuri, if you've seen her talk in the past, she does have a lot of energy. A lot of energy. I'm assuming when she's talking about saving the planet, she's probably talking about going to voice for the Dragon Ball Super readaptation, the remake, the enhanced version, if you will. If it's something else, please let me know in the comments. But this is a nice statement, and I wanted to include it because she is reaffirming her commitment to Goku. She will be voicing Goku with all of her might, as she says. And yeah, this is very, very nice to hear. It's one of those feel-good stories that you just love to hear. So they really love her over there. She's been commemorated so much. She is a legend in the community, not just the Dragon Ball community, but the anime community in general. And from what I understand, in Japan, Japanese, obviously, anime and manga is huge because it's, basically what they have. I don't want to say, it's kind of like superheroes for the US, but maybe like 10 years ago, you could say, whenever superheroes were at their peak. But for Japan, it's also more of a cultural thing, so that's really cool to see. So yeah, guys, that will be it for this video. Let me know what you think about all of these updates. I tried to cover the Genshin Squadron situation as best I could with little bias involved because I do play this game, but not a lot. Definitely not as much as I played in Sparking Zero. Although they're entirely different games. This Genshin Squadron is a MOBA. But I do agree with a lot of the feedback that the character selection pool could be a little bit more diverse. And also, having characters locked to one class for the entirety of the game's life cycle just defeats the purpose. Are we going to get Ultra Instinct Goku as a damage? I feel like he would be an awesome technical character. That way he's not too busted and you could just make him focused. Or even a tank character and he could be focused on absorbing damage and basically deflecting damage and dodging damage. That way people would have to focus on him. Seriously. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there's some characters that are obviously not meant to be a class. Like Vegeta, for example. Once they eventually do Ultra Ego, which is so perfectly for a tank, that makes sense. But Super Saiyan God Vegeta, does that really make the most sense as a tank? I'm not so certain. Anyways, guys, that will be it for this video. Like I said, a little bit of a lighter news week, but still some pretty newsworthy stuff regardless. Let me know what you guys thought. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to keep up to date with all things Dragon Ball news and commentary. And I will catch you in the next one. Peace off.
I'll be happy.
Of course, y'all know to go check out the big homie at DJ Is. Appreciate the beats.
Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the garden, by the door, in the bedroom, on the floor. Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the middle of the night, I'm gonna be there till the morning light.
Of course, y'all know to go hit up the Buy Me Coffee, drop your boy some support. We'll be back next week with our regular Super Saturday posts, because you know how we do. And we'll probably have some more Dragon Ball information and stuff to talk about also. Hell, you know,